Hey, and welcome to Star Wars 101. Today I'm going to be telling you the complete history of the Darksaber. The Darksaber is an ancient black-bladed lightsaber. It has a unique blade that is shorter than that of most lightsabers and is shaped like a traditional sword. Its overall profile is distinctly Mandalorian with an angular pommel, handguard, and slit-shaped blade emitter, all of which is made out of Beskar. The sound that is emitted by its blade is also higher pitched than other lightsabers when ignited or swung, sounding more like a screech than a hum. The Darksaber has a crystal which serves as a channel for Force energy. The wielder's thoughts and actions guides the blade's current of power, with the blade often producing an electrical effect in response to a heightened emotional state. The Darksaber will attempt to connect with its wielder on a subliminal level, with the blade feeling fairly heavier or lighter depending on the wielder resisting or embracing the connection. The Darksaber is also capable of parrying a blow from a lightsaber. Like other typical lightsabers, the Darksaber cannot cut through pure Beskar. However, it is capable of heating it to the point of turning red. Also, it cannot penetrate a personal combat shield, though it can overwhelm and dissipate it with prolonged contact, as well as a deflector shield used by a scorpionic droid. The Darksaber is deeply respected by the Mandalorians as a symbol for the leadership of House Vizsla, and later on, Death Watch. According to Mandalorian custom, one can only obtain the Darksaber by defeating the previous owner in combat. If anyone claims the weapon any other way, their claim is considered illegitimate. Many children of the Watch believe that the Darksaber carries a terrible curse that would lead to the destruction of Mandalore and its people if it is acquired outside of combat. In the days of the Old Republic, the Darksaber was created by Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian ever inducted into the Jedi Order. After his passing, it was kept at the Jedi Temple. However, during the Old Republic's fall, it was taken by Mandalorians of House Vizsla, who raided the Jedi Temple. Descendants of House Vizsla used it to murder many Jedi and rule all of Mandalore for many years. By the time of the Clone Wars, the Darksaber had come into the possession of Pre Vizsla, governor of Concordia and leader of Death Watch. Vizsla kept it on his back when he wore his armor. During the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi of the Jedi High Council discovered Death Watch's camp near the planet's mines. Using the Darksaber, Vizsla fought Kenobi as his troops evacuated. Though he boasted some skill in combat, Vizsla was unable to defeat Kenobi or prevent his escape with Duchess Satine Kryze. Vizsla would continue to use the Darksaber and try to murder Ahsoka Tano with it, but would fail to kill the Padawan. Following the discovery of the rogue Sith Lord Maul and his brother Savage Opress near their camp on Zanbar, Vizsla agreed to an alliance between Death Watch and Maul's Shadow Collective. Succeeding this alliance, they then staged attacks and heroic battles to overthrow Satine's government. Vizsla and the Death Watch were hailed as heroes in the eyes of the Mandalorian populace. Vizsla then betrayed Maul and Opress and had them imprisoned. But soon after, they were able to escape, and Maul challenged Vizsla for leadership of Death Watch. Vizsla used the Darksaber against Maul. Despite putting up an impressive fight with the use of both the Darksaber and his armor's numerous weapons, Vizsla was disarmed, defeated, and directly executed by Maul with the Darksaber. Maul then claimed the Darksaber in leadership of Death Watch, much to the displeasure of Vizsla's lieutenant, Night Owl Bo-Katan Kryze, who refused to follow a leader who was not a Mandalorian, despite him winning the esteemed weapon fairly in combat. After Maul lured Kenobi back to Mandalore, Maul used the Darksaber to kill Duchess Satine in front of Kenobi as part of his revenge against the Jedi Master. After Kenobi made his escape, thanks to Bo-Katan, Maul and Opress were confronted by Maul's former master, Darth Sidious, who came to eliminate his former apprentice before he grew even more powerful. Together, Maul and Opress fought Sidious, but they were no match against the Sith Lord. After Opress was killed, Maul drew the Darksaber and wielded it in tandem with his red blade against his former master, but was unable to defeat him. Sidious tossed aside the Darksaber as he subdued and tortured Maul with Force lightning and took Maul captive. Prime Minister Almec and the Mandalorian Super Commandos recovered the Darksaber following Maul's capture by Sidious. After being freed from the prison known as the Spire, Maul reclaimed the Darksaber and used the weapon against General Grievous and his forces many times. After a fierce battle was fought on Dathomir against Grievous and Sidious, Maul remained on the planet in the empty Night Sister lair for a time, keeping the Darksaber hidden. Later on, during the Imperial era, Sabine Wren, a Mandalorian rebel, discovered the Darksaber on the planet Dathomir, but was possessed by a Night Sister spirit. Sabine then attacked her Jedi Padawan friend, Ezra Bridger, but Ezra used his lightsaber and the Darksaber to destroy the altar that the spirits dwelled in. Upon their return to their base on the planet Attilan, Sabine gave the lightsaber to her Jedi friend Kanan for safekeeping because she was hesitant to use it herself. However, after recruiting the help of a Mandalorian, Fen Rao, who told them all about the history and importance of the weapon, and his companion, a Twi'lek rebel leader, Hera Syndulla, they convinced Sabine to learn how to wield the saber so she could attempt to use it to unite Clan Wren and form an alliance with the rebellion. Sabine was willing to try, but was unsure she would be successful due to her estranged relationship with her family. Kanan, Ezra, and Sabine traveled to a secluded location on the planet Attilan to train. Ezra taught Sabine the basic lightsaber forms using wooden training sabers, and after several days, Kanan allowed Sabine to wield the Darksaber. During a practice duel, Kanan was able to convince Sabine to talk about why she left Mandalore, and in doing so, Sabine was able to process her emotions, which allowed her to decide that she was worthy of wielding the saber. Following her trials, Sabine, along with Kanan, Ezra, Chopper, and Rao, traveled with the Darksaber to Clan Wren's domain on Crow Nest. Their mission was to solicit Clan Wren's support for the rebellion. After crash landing on the planet, Sabine, Kanan, and Ezra sought an audience with Sabine's mother, Ursa Wren, the leader of Clan Wren. While Ursa was shocked that her daughter had obtained the Mandalorian weapon, she later disputed Sabine's claim to the weapon since she had not wrested it from Maul in single combat. Later, Ursa tried to trade the Darksaber along with Kanan and Ezra to Viceroy Gar Saxon, the Emperor's hand and the puppet ruler of Mandalore, in exchange for Sabine's safety. Saxon had no intention of keeping his word and ignited the Darksaber as a signal to his men to massacre Clan Wren. While the Super Commandos fought with the Clan Wren warriors and the Jedi, Saxon tried to murder Ursa with the Darksaber from behind, but Sabine, wielding Ezra's lightsaber, intercepted the blow. The two then engaged in a fierce duel outside the Wren stronghold. Although Saxon nearly overpowered Sabine with sheer force, Sabine managed to use her newfound skills to wound him and recover the Darksaber, holding both the black and green blades to his throat and demanding he yield. After Ursa killed Saxon, Sabine became the rightful new owner of the Darksaber. She stayed behind with her family and Rao to reunify the Mandalorian people and find the true leader of Mandalore. Sabine eventually led a mission to Mandalore to rescue her father, Alric Wren, from Imperial custody and wielded the Darksaber during the fighting. During the mission, Sabine met Bo-Katan and offered her the sword, but Bo-Katan turned it down as she felt she was unworthy and had already had her chance to rule. Later, Sabine and Bo-Katan led a raid on then Mandalorian Governor Tiber Saxon's Star Destroyer in order to destroy the Duchess, the superweapon Sabine had built during her days as an Imperial cadet. After the successful raid, she finally persuaded Bo-Katan to accept the weapon by showing her that other clans were willing to follow her and stating that the Force had brought the saber to her so she in turn could pass it on to Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan accepted the sword in memory of her sister Satine and for the honor of her clan and Mandalore itself. After claiming the Darksaber, Bo-Katan would eventually lose the weapon after the Great Purge of Mandalore and leave Mandalore. However, she continued to lead the Night Owls and remained focused on eventually reclaiming her homeworld as well as the fabled weapon that signified her leadership. In 9 ABY, Moff Gideon, who had participated in the Great Purge of Mandalore the Empire had launched against the Mandalorians, had acquired the Darksaber. Later on, Bo-Katan Kryze was aware of Gideon's ownership of the Darksaber and started hunting for him. Aboard an Imperial Gazanti-class cruiser, Bo-Katan, accompanied by Axe Woves, Casca Reeves, and Jaren, threatened an Imperial captain and demanded to know the location of the Darksaber. The captain bit a suicide shocker, killing him. This move left Kryze clueless about its whereabouts, but sharpened her will to earn back what was rightfully hers. Following the skirmish on Tython, the Mandalorian foundling Grogu was captured by Gideon and brought to his command ship. After Grogu's capture, Jaren, an acquaintance of Bo-Katan, located her and her companion and recruited them to help rescue him. Bo-Katan agreed to help after Jaren promised her the Darksaber, knowing that Gideon possessed it. After a successful raid of Gideon's cruiser by Jaren, Bo-Katan, and their associates, Jaren encountered Gideon in Grogu's cell, holding the ignited Darksaber over the helpless youngling. After giving a brief exposition on the weapon's history and significance in Mandalorian culture, and seemingly agreeing to let Jaren take Grogu in exchange for never crossing paths again, Gideon attempted to strike him down from behind with the Darksaber, but was foiled by the Mandalorian's Beskar-plated jetpack, which the blade couldn't cut through. He then engaged Jaren in a duel, Gideon's Darksaber against Jaren's Beskar spear, but was defeated and disarmed. Jaren brought the captured Moff to the bridge and tried to give the weapon to Bo-Katan, but she refused to take it. Gideon laughed at Jaren's ignorance as Bo-Katan explained that she had to win it in combat. Jaren attempted to yield, intending to make good on his promise and wanting to avoid trouble, but Bo-Katan only stared at him coldly, not wanting to break the old rule once again. However, before their conflict could continue, the group was forced to arm themselves to repel Gideon's dark troopers. Eventually, the Jedi Luke Skywalker arrived to save them, taking Grogu with him to be trained in the ways of the Force. After successfully delivering Grogu to Skywalker, Jaren kept the Darksaber, continuing to utilize it in his bounty hunting activities. Eventually, he began searching for the new covert location of his clan on Glavis Ringworld, where he used the Darksaber to collect the bounty of Kaba Bays for information on their whereabouts. Due to his lack of familiarity and training with the weapon, Jaren accidentally slashed his own thigh with the Darksaber whilst battling Baze's thugs. After locating the secret hideout, the armorer explained the past of the weapon to Jaren, as well as Bo-Katan Kryze's failure to follow Mandalorian traditions and Mandalore's downfall under her rule during the Night of 1,000 Tears. The armorer also trained Jaren in using the weapon, telling him that he was fighting against the Darksaber rather than his opponent, making the weapon seem heavier in nature the more he swung it. After training with the armorer, Jaren was challenged for the Darksaber by Paz Vizsla, who viewed the weapon as rightfully his birthright due to its origins within his own clan. Jaren narrowly defeated Vizsla in single combat, but was soon cast out of the watch by the armorer, who learned that he had removed his helmet during his mission with Grogu. Following his unceremonious excommunication, Jaren left the hideout, taking the Darksaber with him unhindered. Jaren continues to wield the Darksaber as his own. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below telling me what you think of the Darksaber and how you've liked what Disney has done with it so far. And with all that said, have a great day.